Hi guys, Dave Belcher here, and welcome to day one of our feature week. Our feature week is to co-align with our final week of our Kickstarter campaign, where we're going to try and get as many features into a video blog and get them out to you so you can understand more of what we're trying to do and to what exactly some of those features entail. So firstly, I apologise if I'm looking quite tired and sounding quite croaky. I'm still very jet lagged from my trip out to E3 that I went to last week. But I'm going to try and get through this and hopefully get some good information to you. Now first, our standard disclaimer. Any systems we describe at this early stage in development, they're all subject to change based on technical limitations, based on balancing and essentially just making sure that the system works in our game, is fun, is enjoyable, and does what we hope it will do. We're reasonably confident that this system will work in the way that we intend, but we just need to put that disclaimer out there. I also need to make a note on health, because a lot of systems tie into the death system, including the player statistics system. So to make sure that we're understanding what's going on, I'm going to have to give you little tidbits of those systems. In this case, the most important one is health. Now health is very much a health regeneration versus health deterioration system. Things can cause your health to go down. Obviously being attacked is one of them, taking that sort of damage, environmental damage maybe, but also effects caused through combat such as bleeding, poisons, anything that's going to reduce the health of your character. And then you have a natural health regeneration, which is based on how healthy your character is, how well equipped he is in some situations, and how well fed they are, how well watered, have they eaten good food, how generally healthy is that character. Now if the amount of health degeneration is greater than the health regeneration, obviously your character is going to be deteriorating down to the point of death. So that's the basics of health. So I'm going to give you a quick high-level overview of what's involved in the death system, and then I'm going to do a scenario with two combatants, and then just outline the options they have at each stage. So at a high level, the combat system actually has three distinct stages to it. The first stage is incapacitation. Now when your character's health is reduced to 0, you enter into an incapacitated state. The amount of incapacitation health you have, because you have a new health bar, is equivalent to roughly 10% of your standard health bar. So if you have 500 health on your normal character, you'll have around about 50 health in your incapacitation bar. And you don't enter the incapacitation bar right at the very top. So you'll always have to recover a little way to get back to a capacitated state. Now, when incapacitated, your character's options are quite limited, but I'll go into those soon. But essentially it reduces the ability of your character to function. The next stage down is death. So once your incapacitation bar reaches 0, your character is dead essentially, and in that stage again you have limited options. Obviously you can't do anything yourself, but your friends might be able to help you. And in some situations the attacker can also send you along your way to the third state of our death system, which is body destruction. Essentially your soul has left your body, so you can no longer be reincarnated in that body. You'll have to look to a new one. So that's the basic three states. The next high level system is loot. So basically at each stage you are available to be looted. Be that incapacitation all the way through to body destruction. This allows someone to incapacitate you, then steal your stuff if they so wish. And loot, it drops from your body obviously when you die, and it remains in the world for a period of time. We're thinking anywhere from 15 minutes to half an hour. But once it's finished, that time is finished and it disappears, the loot's still there. It just goes into a buried state, because we do have an item burying system planned for the game. So essentially it won't be visible, but you'll be able to go back to the area where you died and use a search ability. That search ability will uncover hidden items in the area, and it'll allow you to find your items and pick them up again if there's any left after the attacker has looted your belongings. And likewise, this ties nicely into a scavenging system. So if you know there was a scene of a large battle, you can go along later on and search the area, see if there's any bits of loot hidden away in the sides of the battle. But this also means we can persist loot for a much longer time. We're talking a couple of weeks of real time, which means there's a much larger window for you to go back, find where you died, and try and recover some trinkets from your body. And this is necessary, bearing in mind the size of our world. You could literally be hours away from where your body respawn point is. So speaking of respawn points, this is a bind and respawn style system. Essentially you can go to one of the temples in the major cities or a church in a player city, and you can choose to bind to that church by praying and providing an offering. There will obviously be options for mages as well, because they won't really be praying very much. And there'll also be wilderness temples, which are hidden away Arcuvian temples that you'll be able to bind out. And the quality of the service you can get from that respawn point is also based on the quality of the church. And this ties into the penalty system. So when you die, there's going to be penalties, and this is the bit that makes death hurt. There's two types of penalty. The first penalty is temporary, and everyone, no matter who you are, you'll take the temporary penalty. This is a temporary stat and skill loss, not a huge amount, but basically it's like a short-term memory loss, and this recovers quite quickly. We're talking if you go have a good meal, because when you respawn you're hungry, you're thirsty, so have a good meal, have something to drink, and go chill out for a little bit in a tavern or a campsite or whatever you need to do, and you should be able to get back to full strength within half an hour, just chilling out or just going about your business. So it's not a long-term penalty, it's just enough to deter you from just hopping straight back into whatever craziness is going on, whatever combat you were a part of. And the other penalty are the permanent penalties. So these are your permanent stat and skill loss. Well, permanent skill loss, sorry. This is your long-term memory loss. So when you die, you'll take this permanent penalty. Now you can counter the permanent penalty. We have a system which is based in the lore of statues. So you can go to an Arcuvian temple, of which there are them in the main cities. There also are some hidden in the wilds. Or you can go to the upper tier of player churches. Once there, you can choose to purchase a statue, and there's varying quality of statue. And the better the quality of statue, the larger percentage of your skill points will be saved when you die. And ultimately you can buy a statue to save all the skill points you might lose and negate the entirety of the full penalty. So basically it's easily negatable, and if you're a trader or a craftsman, it means that if you have a up-to-date statue, you should never really worry too much about the permanent skill loss. Now this ties into the karma system. So the karma system's in there to allow those who choose the way of the sword to die by the sword, essentially, and it provides them the risk and reward that spices the game up for them, without inflicting that on the more peaceful citizens of the world, so the crafters and whatnot. So essentially, if you're going around and you're killing people with equal or higher karma standing than you, you'll take karma hits. So karma hits for killing people, but also larger karma hits for mutilating people, which I'll go into when I go into the scenarios. But essentially, it's if you're going around killing innocents or relative innocents to you, you're going to be taking karma hits until you hit maximum negative karma. Now the karma system ties into the statue system. The lower your karma rating, the less benefit you get from the statues. So as you keep building negative karma, ultimately you're reducing the amount of stat points you can save through the statue system, which means you will always take a level of skill loss penalty through the permanent loss. This puts the bit of spice in there. So if you're an active PvPer, you can get to the situation where you're taking permanent skill or stat loss whenever you die in combat. Now, If you've been a murderer for a long time and you've got massive low karma, but you've decided you want to repent and mend your ways and go the way of peace, karma will recover slowly over time. Exactly how long is to be determined through balancing, but karma will recover, and you can help that along later on by choosing to repent. And if you go and pray at a church once per game month, which is approximately one real week, and give an offering, you can increase your karma recovery rate for that game month or week. So essentially you can reduce the amount of time it takes your karma to recover by roughly half. You're still looking at a month or more to get back to a standard karma rate, but you can help that along quite a lot by paying your way through. So those are the high level parts of the death system, and to better describe it, it's best if I do a scenario. So imagine two people fighting. We'll call them attacker and defender. The attacker is the person who's going to win. The defender is the person who unfortunately is going to be dying today. So they're away, battling away. Let's say the defender has 500 health, and the attacker's put in loads of awesome strikes, the defender's bleeding, and he's finally taken down to 0 health. At this stage, he moves into incapacitation. And incapacitation, because he has 500 health, he has roughly 50 incapacitation health, and visually he'll move to a new coloured health bar. Now, the guy's bleeding, so he's bleeding away. The defender has a couple of options here. He can crawl, so he can try to drag himself to safety behind some rocks. So if he's being shot from a far palisade, he can try and get away from fire. He can also, if he has the skills and the equipment, apply a field dressing to any bleeds to try and slow the bleed down. Now this won't stop the bleed. It will basically just slow it down to try and buy time for his friends to come and help him. Now his friends can come along, they can also drag him to safety, and this is going to be a lot quicker than him trying to drag himself. They can also use bandages to properly dress his wounds, which is much more effective at slowing and stopping bleeds. Now bear in mind, if the guy's wearing heavy armour, this is going to be much more difficult and may require you to remove some of his armour pieces in order to be able to dress his wounds. Now from the attacker's standpoint, the first thing you can do obviously is loot the body, sorry. So your opponent's on the ground writhing around in agony, you can stick your hand in his pocket, steal his gold, and essentially take his gear without having to actually kill him. And the other option is just keep damaging him and take him out of the fight completely. And if you keep damaging him and take him down to 0 in his incapacitation meter, he's going to go to a dead state. So now you're the hapless defender and you're dead. Your options are more severely limited now. You can stay in your body for a period of time, we're thinking around about 10 to 15 minutes, but your soul's pretty much in limbo. What you need is for a friend to come along and drag you to safety, or just to treat your wounds. Now, those players who have a high level of medical skill, or who are essentially surgeons, are able to treat you and bring you back to the land of the living within that 10 to 15 minute window. And also there's some healing magics available to disciples and some mages, which may allow them to do the same job as a surgeon and bring your body back to a living state. Now if they do so, it just takes you up to the incapacitated state, so they'll still need to treat any bleeding wounds you still have and help you along to get you back to an alive state. And obviously from an attacker standpoint, you have options here as well. So you can come along and you can choose to mutilate the body. Mutilating the body, it's a big karma hit, and also if there's laws in the land, it's going to be a bigger penalty on the law system or the standing system than just killing someone. But what you'll do is you'll remove the ability for the target's friends to save that person and bring them back to life. And you'll also get access to trophies from that body, so be it an ear, a scalp, a head, whatever we decide later on, which may tie into bounty systems, trophy systems, the like. So that's essentially how to work through the different stages. And And like I said, this ties into the legal system, so you can set laws for just assault, incapacitating someone, murder, which is killing someone, or mutilation, which is a heinous crime, or should be a heinous crime in most cities. And also the karma system ties into this. So if you kill someone with a higher karma level than you take a karma hit. If you mutilate anyone, you're going to take a much larger karma hit. Now, bear in mind that once the player's dead, they'll need to respawn. And the respawn point is going to be the nearest church. Now, if you're off on a crusade, that could be a long way away. So it's in your best interest to try and help those injured people on your side, to drag them back to a field hospital, to try and get them back to health, because if they get completely destroyed, or if their soul is no longer able to stay in their body, they're going to be out of the fight for a long time. So having the whole kind of medical side of the logistics is a very important part. Now, so those are the key aspects of the death system. And like we say, we've tried to make it balanced so that if you're a PvPer and you've chosen that lifestyle, there's sufficient penalty to make it risky even for you as a hardened PvPer. And we've also tried to make it so there's a bit of risk and penalty for the more passive members of the community, but there's still ways to kind of counterbalance all that, so they're not taking a massive stats loss as long as they have up-to-date statues. So that's the higher level of the death system, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of questions. Feel free to ask them through our community forum or through comments on our Kickstarter page, and we'll try to address those as quickly as possible.